Podcast number 2, Chain Reaction. Let's talk about how these countries declared war on each other, how they were acting truly like maniacs. The first one is Austria-Hungary blames Serbia for the murders of the Archduke and his wife, and they made harsh demands of Serbia. Serbia therefore refused to comply with any of the demands, and Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia on July 28. Russia, a Slavic nation, Slavic is a culture and ethnicity, and also a friend of Serbia, mobilized its forces in preparation for war. This is an example of nationalism. Russia and Serbia both are Slavic nations, have the same ethnicity and culture, therefore take pride in that and want to protect it. This is the part where nationalism comes in. 5. Germany, who is an ally of Austria-Hungary, declares war on Russia. Germany declares war on France as well because France is an ally of Russia. Here's where we start to declare war on all the other enemies that is not our ally. Germany invades Belgium on August 3rd, 1914, so that German forces could enter France more easily. Here we see the Belgians really get a bad deal because Germany enters through there to reach Paris quickly. Britain therefore declares war on Germany to protect their interests as well as France. Here are the alliances. The Triple Alliance is Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, who we'll talk about later. An alliance is much more stricter than an entente, which you'll see in a minute. An alliance is a defense agreement that basically obligates a country to back the other country in times of war. Here's the Triple Entente between Great Britain, France, Russia. These are the major players in the Triple Entente. An entente is less strict, but it's still important because they ally with each other. Here is a great image of a political cartoon. If you touch me, if you make a move, I will. If you hit that little feller, they are insulting each other. Here is Serbia. Austria declares war on Serbia. Here is Russia, who has Serbia's back, and they are going to attack Austria. Here is Germany, who is an ally of Austria, who is going to attack Russia if Russia attacks Austria. And then you have France, who is an ally to Russia, who says they will attack Germany if Germany attacks Russia. This is a great visual representation of how the allies help each other out. But who can we blame? We could blame Austria-Hungary, because they blame Serbia for the terrorism being the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. And they wanted to crush Serbian nationalism. We see that word pop up again. Germany felt it must stand behind Austria-Hungary, so they can be blamed for popping their noses in it and standing behind Austria-Hungary. Russia, because they supported Slavic people, nationalism once again, and they feared Austria-Hungary wanted to rule Slavic people. France we can blame because they backed Russia, and they were kind of looking forward into the future a little bit, and they felt it might someday need Russian support against Germany, so they allied themselves with Russia. And we can blame Britain because they felt a duty to protect Belgium, who was invaded by Germany, and they also feared the power of Germany. Therefore, out of fear and a duty to protect Belgium, they enter into the war against Germany and Austria-Hungary. Here's another great political cartoon. Peace of Europe, symbolized with a dagger. There's no more peace in Europe, and you have all these nations pointing the finger at each other. France, Belgium, England, and Russia all allied with each other, pointing the finger at Germany. Germany pointing the finger at Russia, and Austria and Serbia pointing the finger at each other because this is where it starts. Italy's off on the side over here, and they will come into the view a little bit later. Was this truly the war to end all wars? It was supposed to establish boundaries for the rest of the 20th century, and the winners would rule Europe with an iron fist, and no one would dare challenge them. But we really don't see that because we see another world war coming about less than 20 years later. We could really call this the war to begin all wars. We will talk about the advancements of machinery in the next podcast.